How deeply do you truly love yourself? Because if you understood your worth, you would stop begging for spaces that drain you and relationships that shrink you. Most people walk through life empty, not because they lack success, but because they lack self-love. They chase approval, confuse attention for belonging, and mistake comfort for peace. Buddhism reveals a quiet truth. When you know your value, you no longer tolerate what dishonors it. The moment you respect yourself, the world must respond. Before we begin, subscribe to Buddha's eternal wisdom, your doorway to calm, clarity, and timeless Buddhist insight. Look at your own life. Where are you still waiting to be chosen? Tonight, you'll discover how self-love transforms energy, rewires destiny, and attracts everything you seek. Stay until the end, because one powerful bonus lesson completes the awakening. 1. Stop abandoning yourself to belong. You learned early that belonging felt safer than standing alone. So you bent your voice to match rooms, softened your truth to keep peace, and shrank your needs so others would stay comfortable. Slowly, quietly, you began abandoning yourself. Not all at once, but in small, daily negotiations. And each time you chose approval over self-respect, your inner peace paid the price. Why does being liked so often cost you your calm? And who taught you that trade? In Buddhist wisdom, suffering does not begin with rejection from others. It begins with rejection of the self. When you step away from your own truth to belong, the mind fractures. One part performs, another part aches. This division becomes restlessness, anxiety, and a constant hunger to be seen. What you abandon within yourself, you will endlessly seek outside. Approval becomes a substitute for inner stability. Look closely at modern life. At work, you say yes when your body says no. In relationships, you stay silent to avoid conflict. On social paths, you wear masks that exhaust you. Each compromise seems small, but together they train the mind to believe love must be earned through self-erasure. This belief quietly drains dignity and invites resentment. Can peace survive where self-betrayal is normalized? The Buddha taught that self-care begins with right alignment, not aggression, not isolation, alignment. The habit here is simple but demanding. Pause before you please. Ask, am I honoring myself or am I trading myself for comfort? When the urge to bend appears, breathe. Let discomfort rise without obeying it. Stillness is not weakness, it is strength without noise. Imagine a tree bending toward every passing wind. At first it seems flexible, but over time its roots loosen, its trunk weakens. Now imagine standing upright as the wind passes. You do not resist, you do not chase, you remain grounded. Close your eyes and feel that posture inside you, the strength of not needing to bend. What would change if you stood firm today? This habit transforms relationships. When you stop abandoning yourself, others meet the real you, or they leave. Both outcomes protect peace. You no longer negotiate your worth or rehearse your identity. You act from wholeness, and wholeness does not beg to belong. It simply is. Ask yourself honestly, where do I betray myself to avoid discomfort? Whose approval still controls my choices? The moment you choose self-respect over applause, the mind settles. When you finally stop leaving yourself, nothing outside you can steal your peace again. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, I choose myself now. 2. Speak to yourself like a sacred student. Notice how quickly the mind turns against itself. One mistake, one delay, one moment of weakness, and the inner voice sharpens. It calls you lazy, behind, unworthy. You may not hear it clearly, but you feel its weight. If words create worlds, what world are you building inside yourself daily? And who taught you to speak with such cruelty? In Buddhist understanding, the mind is not an enemy to be defeated, but a student to be trained. Yet many people train their minds through punishment. They believe harshness creates discipline. It does not. It creates fear. The mind believes the tone before it believes the truth. Even wisdom, when delivered with violence, becomes poison. Look at your daily inner dialogue. When you fail, do you guide or condemn? When you feel tired, do you listen or attack? This voice shapes your nervous system, your confidence, your capacity to rest. A harsh inner teacher keeps you productive for a while, but peaceful never. And without peace, success feels hollow. Is that the life you are building? The Buddha emphasized right effort, not brutal effort. The habit here is inner voice discipline. Before correcting yourself, soften your tone. Replace command with guidance. Instead of, "Why are you like this?" try, "What can I learn here?" This is not weakness. This is precision. A calm mind absorbs truth faster than a frightened one. Imagine your inner voice as a teacher standing beside you. One shouts, humiliates, rushes you. The other speaks slowly, clearly, firmly, but with care. Which one would you trust to guide your growth? Which one would you stay with when learning becomes difficult? Growth follows safety, not fear. Close your eyes for a moment. Hear your inner voice soften. Let it guide, not command. Notice how your breath deepens naturally when the pressure lifts. That response is not accidental. The body knows when it is being cared for. Inner peace begins when self-talk stops sounding like a threat. This habit changes everything. You stop burning yourself to improve. You begin to mature with steadiness. Mistakes become lessons instead of verdicts. Discipline becomes sustainable. And slowly, self-love stops being an idea and becomes a daily atmosphere. Ask yourself honestly, would I speak to a loved one this way? What tone heals me instead of pushing me? What sentence do I need to hear right now? When you speak to yourself like a sacred student, the mind learns without resistance, and peace learns how to stay. 3. Master the pause before reaction. Something happens, and the body reacts before the mind arrives. A message, a tone, a memory, a look. Suddenly the heart races, words spill, decisions are made in heat. Later, regret follows quietly. You tell yourself it was automatic. But what if your power does not begin in response, but in restraint? In Buddhist insight, suffering is not created by events. It is created by untrained reaction. The world strikes the bell, and the bell rings because it has not learned stillness. Between stimulus and suffering, there is a breath. Most people never enter that space. They live at the mercy of impulses, calling it personality, calling it honesty, calling it strength. But peace cannot survive without pause. Look at modern life. Notifications pull you. Opinions provoke you. Pressure rushes you. You are taught that fast reactions mean confidence, that silence means weakness. Yet every uncontrolled reaction leaks energy. Anger spoken cannot be retrieved. Fear-driven choices shape years. Ask yourself, how many problems in your life began with speed? The Buddha did not teach suppression. He taught awareness. The habit here is mastering the pause before reaction. When emotion rises, do nothing first. Breathe once, fully. Let the moment stretch. This pause is not passive, it is an act of sovereignty. In that breath, the nervous system settles. Clarity re-enters. Choice returns. Imagine yourself as a bell. The world strikes constantly. Words, situations, people. You cannot stop the strikes, but you can decide what is allowed to touch you deeply. A bell that rings at every contact is noisy and fragile. A bell that rings only when struck with intention preserves its resonance. Your peace works the same way. Close your eyes for a moment. Inhale slowly. Feel the moment widen. Notice how control returns without force. That is emotional stillness. Not coldness, not avoidance. Stillness. From here, responses become measured. Silence becomes intelligent. Power becomes quiet. This habit transforms conflict. You stop feeding drama with immediacy. You stop confusing reaction with truth. Others may push harder when you pause, but eventually they feel your gravity. Calm unsettles chaos. Restraint reveals authority. And you discover something unexpected. You are no longer easily controllable. Ask yourself honestly, what triggers steal my peace fastest? How often do I react instead of respond? What would silence protect today? When you master the pause, emotions stop driving you and begin informing you. And when restraint becomes your refuge, nothing external can rush you into losing yourself again. 4. Release the guilt of choosing yourself. Each time you choose rest over obligation, a quiet discomfort appears. When you say no, guilt whispers that you are selfish, ungrateful, wrong. You may obey that voice automatically, returning to old patterns of overgiving. Why does self-care feel wrong, yet self-betrayal feels familiar? In Buddhist understanding, guilt is not always wisdom. Often, it is inherited conditioning. You were taught that love means sacrifice without limits, that worth is proven through exhaustion. Guilt is often the echo of conditioning, not conscience. When you choose yourself, the mind panics, not because you are doing harm, but because you are breaking a pattern. Look honestly at who benefits when you neglect yourself. Systems of overwork, relationships built on your silence, expectations that never ask how you are. Guilt keeps you compliant. It trains you to confuse endurance with virtue. But a depleted mind cannot generate compassion. An empty body cannot sustain peace. Who taught you that burnout was noble? The Buddha did not praise self-erasure. He taught balance. The habit here is deprogramming pleasing. When guilt arises after choosing yourself, pause. Do not argue with it. Observe it. Ask, is this conscience or conditioning? This question alone loosens decades of learned obedience. Awareness breaks spells that effort never could. Imagine a bird raised in a cage. The door opens, yet the bird hesitates. The sky feels too wide. Freedom feels dangerous. The cage, though painful, feels known. You are not weak for hesitating. You are untrained in freedom. Picture the cage door open. Notice how stillness comes before flight. That pause is not fear, it is recalibration. Release does not require rebellion, it requires permission. You are allowed to rest without explanation. You are allowed to choose health over harmony. Each time you act from self-respect, guilt will rise and then fade. Do not mistake its volume for truth. Old programs shout when they are losing control. This habit changes your identity. You stop proving goodness through suffering. You begin protecting peace without apology. Boundaries stop feeling cruel and start feeling clean. And slowly, the nervous system learns a new safety. You will not abandon yourself anymore. Ask yourself clearly, who benefits when I neglect myself? What guilt is not truly mine? What does freedom require from me now? When you release borrowed guilt, self-love stops feeling rebellious and starts feeling natural. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, I choose myself now. 5. Build boundaries as sacred gates. You give until you are empty, then call it kindness. You stay available, flexible, agreeable, then wonder why resentment grows quietly inside you. When rest calls, you feel selfish. When exhaustion arrives, you feel useful. Why do you call exhaustion kindness and peace selfishness? In Buddhist wisdom, compassion without wisdom becomes self-harm. Care that collapses the self is not virtue, it is imbalance. A temple without gates is not holy, it is invaded. Boundaries are not a failure of love. They are the structure that allows love to remain clean, steady, and true. Look at your daily life. Where do you give more than you have? Where do you say yes while your body tightens? You may believe openness makes you spiritual, but openness without discernment drains clarity. When everything is allowed access to you, nothing inside you is protected. Peace cannot survive constant intrusion. The Buddha taught the middle way, not extremes of self-denial or self-obsession. The habit here is building boundaries as sacred gates. A gate does not reject everyone. It opens with intention. It closes with calm. Before agreeing, pause and ask, do I have the energy for this without abandoning myself? This question alone filters many unnecessary burdens. Boundaries are not walls built from anger. They are gates guided by wisdom. Walls shut the world out. Gates choose when to welcome. When you act from guilt, gates disappear. When you act from clarity, gates appear naturally. You stop explaining your limits. You stop defending your rest. You simply live within your capacity. Visualize yourself gently closing a gate. There is no slam, no hostility, just quiet certainty. Feel the safety that arrives without aggression. That sensation is not selfishness, it is nervous system repair. A protected mind becomes generous without fear. An exhausted one gives with resentment. Which version do you want to live as? This habit transforms relationships. People may test your limits at first. Some may accuse you of changing. They are right. You are no longer available for self-erasure. The ones aligned with your growth will adjust. The ones dependent on your collapse may drift away. Both outcomes restore balance. Notice how boundaries return dignity. Your time becomes intentional. Your energy becomes stable. Your yes gains weight because your no exists. Compassion deepens when it is no longer forced. Peace strengthens when it is no longer negotiated. Ask yourself honestly, where do I give more than I have? What boundary would restore balance? Who am I protecting, including myself? When you treat boundaries as sacred gates, love stops draining you and starts sustaining you. 6. Detach from outcomes, not effort. You work hard, yet peace feels distant. You plan, strive, prepare, and still the mind trembles. Not because effort is wrong, but because attachment has crept in. You grip outcomes as if they decide your worth. What if your anxiety comes not from effort, but from clinging to results? In Buddhist insight, suffering is born when action forgets its place. Effort belongs to you. Outcomes do not. When the mind ties its safety to results, every step becomes heavy. Fear replaces focus. Hope turns into pressure. The arrow flies truest when the archer lets go. Precision appears only after release. Look closely at your stress. Is it really the work exhausting you, or the demand that it must end a certain way? You replay futures that have not happened. You bargain with life for guarantees. This constant gripping shakes the inner aim. The body tightens, breath shortens, presence disappears. How can clarity survive under such strain? The Buddha taught peaceful action, full effort without clinging. The habit here is simple and difficult. Give your best, then loosen your grip. Show up completely, then step back internally. Before beginning any task, say quietly, I offer effort, not control. This single sentence realigns the nervous system. Imagine an archer holding the string too long. The arm trembles, the target blurs, power drains. Now imagine release. The moment of letting go is not failure. It is trust. Exhale fully. Picture the string leaving your fingers. Feel calm replace tension. That calm sharpens action more than force ever could. Detachment does not mean indifference. You still care deeply. You still refine skill, but you stop demanding certainty. When results are delayed, you remain steady. When outcomes surprise you, you adapt without collapse. Peace becomes your base, not a reward you earn later. This shift changes productivity. You move faster because fear no longer interrupts you. Creativity returns because the mind is no longer cornered. Mistakes become information, not identity. Even success feels lighter because it no longer defines you. Can you see how peace improves action instead of slowing it? Here is the reversal most people miss. Detachment strengthens discipline. When results stop threatening your worth, consistency becomes natural. You return to the practice again and again, not to prove yourself, but to express yourself. Action becomes devotion, not negotiation. Ask yourself honestly, where am I gripping too tightly? What happens when I trust the process? How does peace improve my action? When you detach from outcomes but honor effort, anxiety loosens its hold, and life meets you with unexpected precision. 7. Rest without needing to earn it. You stop only when exhaustion forces you. Rest becomes something you negotiate for, something you promise yourself later. After one more task, one more effort, one more proof of worth. Stillness feels uncomfortable, even dangerous. Who convinced you that rest must be deserved? In Buddhist understanding, rest is not a reward. It is a condition for clarity. A mind denied stillness forgets its own rhythm. A body pushed without pause begins to speak through pain. The body heals in stillness. The soul remembers itself. When rest is delayed, awareness dulls and compassion thins. Look at how you measure value. Productivity becomes identity. Busyness becomes safety. When you slow down, guilt rises. When you pause, anxiety whispers that you are falling behind. This belief is not truth. It is conditioning. You are taught to equate motion with worth. But constant motion is not aliveness, it is avoidance. The Buddha taught mindful balance, not relentless striving. The habit here is resting without needing to earn it. Choose stillness before collapse. Schedule pauses without justification. Sit quietly, even when the mind resists. Let your nervous system soften. This is not laziness, it is maintenance of awareness. Imagine the moon. It disappears into darkness without apology. It does not shine constantly to prove value. It rests, renews, and returns whole. You too require cycles. When you deny them, your light fades. When you honor them, your presence deepens. Can you trust this rhythm instead of fighting it? Sit for a moment and feel the permission to pause. Notice how the body responds when it is no longer being driven. Breath slows, muscles release. The mind stops scanning for danger. In this space, you remember who you are without effort. Stillness becomes a teacher, not an enemy. This habit reshapes discipline. You no longer burn yourself to stay consistent. You recover faster. Focus sharpens. Motivation becomes clean because it is not fueled by fear. You begin acting from fullness instead of lack. And surprisingly, you do not fall behind. You move with intelligence. Ask yourself honestly, what belief makes rest feel unsafe? What happens when I stop pushing? Can I allow myself to simply be? When you rest without earning it, self-love stops being conditional and peace finds a place to settle. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "I choose myself now." 8. Walk away without explaining. You feel the urge to explain every decision that protects you. When you step back, you justify. When you leave, you defend. When you choose peace, you prepare reasons in advance, as if calm must be approved before it is allowed. Why do you feel the need to justify your peace? In Buddhist understanding, clarity does not argue. When the mind is aligned, it moves quietly. Not every exit needs an announcement. Explanation is often a habit learned from environments where your boundaries were questioned. You learned to speak so you would not be misunderstood. But over time, explanation became self-erasure. Notice where this shows up. You explain why you cannot attend. You explain why you need space. You explain why something hurts you. Yet the more you explain, the less settled you feel, because deep down, you are not seeking understanding, you are seeking permission. And peace never comes from permission. The Buddha taught dignity through simplicity. The habit here is silent self-respect. When something no longer aligns, you step away without noise. No long speeches, no emotional invoices, just clarity in action. This is not avoidance, it is discernment. Silence, when chosen consciously, is a boundary that cannot be argued with. Imagine a river changing course. It does not gather the land to explain itself. It does not apologize to the old banks. It moves because gravity has shifted. Like a river, you are allowed to move forward without justification. Growth often requires quiet exits, not dramatic endings. Visualize yourself turning calmly away. No anger, no tension, just a gentle redirection of energy. Notice the relief in your chest when you stop managing other people's reactions. That relief is the nervous system recognizing safety. Over-explaining keeps you entangled. Quiet action sets you free. This habit reveals who respects you. Those who honor your silence will not demand explanations. Those who require constant justification were never aligned with your peace. You are not responsible for managing their discomfort. When you stop explaining, manipulation loses its grip. Pressure dissolves. Authority returns inward. Here is the deeper truth most people resist. Explaining is often fear dressed as kindness. Fear of being judged. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of being left. Silent self-respect releases that fear. You trust your inner compass more than external validation. And that trust is power. Ask yourself honestly, where do I over-explain? Who doesn't need access anymore? What does quiet strength feel like in my body? When you learn to walk away without explaining, your peace becomes non-negotiable, and your self-love becomes visible through action, not words. 9. Let go to return to yourself. You have been holding on for so long that effort feels like identity. You grip roles, expectations, versions of yourself that once protected you, but now exhaust you. The fear is quiet, but constant. If you let go, something will collapse. But what if letting go is not loss, but homecoming? In Buddhist wisdom, attachment is not love. It is fear disguised as loyalty. We cling to what is familiar even when it harms us because uncertainty feels threatening. Yet peace does not arrive through control. What leaves was never yours. What stays is you. When something falls away, it is often making space for truth. Look at what you are carrying. Old resentments, outgrown identities, relationships sustained by habit, not respect. You call this weight responsibility, but the body knows the truth. It is tired. The mind knows too. It cannot stay still when overloaded. Ask yourself honestly, how much of your suffering comes from refusing to let go? The Buddha taught detachment not as escape, but as strength. The habit here is releasing to return to yourself. Not all at once, softly, one grip at a time. Begin by noticing what tightens your chest, what asks constant effort to hold, what keeps you from resting completely. Awareness loosens what force never can. Think of autumn. A tree does not grieve its leaves. It releases them because holding on would break it. In that release, strength remains. Roots grow deeper. The trunk steadies. Letting go is not weakness. It is intelligence responding to the season. You too are allowed to move through seasons. Close your eyes and imagine something heavy dropping away. A name, a story, a weight you have carried to feel worthy. Feel lightness replace effort. That feeling is not emptiness, it is space. And in space, the self returns quietly, without effort or display. This habit reshapes identity. You stop defining yourself by what you survive. You stop holding pain to prove depth. When attachments fall, clarity rises. You act with less resistance. You speak with less fear. You move without pulling the past behind you. Peace stops feeling fragile because it is no longer crowded. Here is the hidden truth. Detachment brings closeness to life, not distance. When you stop gripping, you can feel fully. When you stop defending, you can listen. When you stop performing, you can simply be. Ask yourself gently, what am I afraid to release? What returns when I let go? Who am I without this weight? When you finally release what was never yours, you do not vanish, you arrive. Bonus lesson: become your own refuge. There is a quiet question beneath all seeking. If everything fell away, roles, praise, certainty, relationships, would you still feel safe within yourself? Most people spend life building shelters outside, hoping something stable will hold them. But when those structures shake, fear rushes in. The deeper work is learning where refuge truly lives. In Buddhist wisdom, refuge is not escape, it is return. You suffer not because the world is unstable, but because you expect it to steady you. Peace begins the moment you stop waiting for permission. The mind grows restless when safety depends on approval, outcomes, or belonging. When these are threatened, the self feels threatened too. Look honestly at where you seek validation. Praise pushes you forward. Rejection cuts you. Silence unsettles you. These reactions show where refuge is misplaced. When identity is taken from outside, peace becomes fragile. You start performing instead of living. You adjust instead of resting, and slowly, you forget how to feel at home within yourself. The Buddha taught inner sanctuary, the ability to rest in awareness no matter the situation. The habit here is becoming your own refuge. When anxiety appears, do not reach outward right away. Pause. Turn inward. Ask, can I stay with myself through this? This question is not avoidance. It is grounding. Imagine a lamp in a dark room. It does not fight the darkness. It does not ask permission to shine. It simply glows. In the same way, inner refuge does not need the world to change. It stays steady while conditions move around it. Strength like this is quiet but firm. Close your eyes and picture a steady light in your chest. It does not flicker with opinion. It does not fade with failure. Let it stay untouched. Notice how the body responds when safety is internal. Breath slows, shoulders relax. The mind stops searching for threat. This is not imagination, it is recognition. This habit changes how you move through life. You stop asking moments to complete you. You stop chasing certainty. When challenges arise, you meet them without falling apart. When praise comes, you receive it without dependence. When loss comes, grief moves through you, but it does not erase you. Becoming your own refuge does not isolate you. It frees you to love without fear. When you are anchored inside, relationships become choices, not lifelines. Work becomes expression, not identity. Rest becomes natural. You stop leaving yourself to feel safe. You stay. Ask yourself gently, where do I seek validation outside? What does inner safety feel like in my body? How can I return here daily? When you become your own refuge, the world no longer decides your peace. You carry it wherever you stand. Quick summary: stop leaving yourself to belong. Self-love begins the moment you stop trading peace for approval. Seeking validation is a subtle attachment that weakens self-respect. Choosing yourself rebuilds inner stability and emotional strength. Speak to yourself. Like a sacred student, your inner voice shapes your emotional world more than any outer event. Harsh self-talk trains fear. Conscious speech trains clarity. Awareness turns the mind from enemy into ally. Master the pause. Before reaction, power is not in reacting, it is in restraint. Every pause weakens suffering before it starts. Stillness restores control without force. Release the guilt of choosing yourself. Guilt often comes from conditioning, not wisdom. Self-care feels strange only because self-neglect was normal. Freedom begins when you stop apologizing for your needs. Build boundaries. As sacred gates, boundaries protect peace without harming compassion. Endless availability leads to collapse, not kindness. Clear limits support healthier connection and respect. Detach from outcomes, not effort. Clinging to results creates anxiety, not excellence. Buddhist discipline teaches full effort with relaxed attachment. Peaceful action creates lasting success. Rest without needing to earn it. Rest is not laziness, it is repair. Worth is not measured by output. Stillness resets the nervous system and renews clarity. Walk away without explaining. Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Over-explaining often signals self-doubt. Quiet exits protect dignity and balance. Let go to return to yourself. Letting go is not weakness, it is wisdom. Release ends inner conflict and restores presence. Peace returns when attachment softens. Become your own refuge. Real security comes from within, not situations. Inner stability lowers dependence on outside validation. Self-trust becomes the base of lasting peace. Loving yourself is not indulgence, it is discipline, it is awareness. It is the courage to stop leaving your inner truth just to be accepted. Zen philosophy reminds us that suffering does not come from life itself, but from how we cling, resist, and forget ourselves within it. When self-care becomes conscious, peace stops being temporary. It becomes your natural state. When the mind is no longer divided against itself, the world loses its power to disturb it. You do not need to change everything today. Simply choose one moment to honor yourself without guilt. That single moment is enough to begin. If this wisdom resonated with you, like and share this video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your reflection may help someone else awaken. Subscribe to Buddha's Eternal Wisdom for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a calm, strong, and peaceful life.